Hello and welcome to the Table of Reason podcast. And before we get started with today's discussion, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsors over at sheandsupplements.com, where they have everything you could possibly need to help fuel your day. So head on over to sheandsupplements.com and let Dana know I sent you by using promo code TABLE20 to get 20% off your first order today. I hope you enjoy the conversation and make sure you head on over there. Supplies are going quick. Joining me today at the table are Zachary and Lopes yet again. Zach and Lopes, thanks for coming back. So good to have you.
Of course, thank you.
All right, I just want to start off. Do you guys mind just giving like a quick introduction to like who you are, any education backgrounds, what you do for work, things like that?
I'm Penelope. I'm going to school right now to get my master's in clinical mental health counseling. I got my bachelor's from Anna Maria in psych and CJ. And I currently work at a behavioral health clinic for like in-home therapy and stuff like that. Yeah.
I sell lawnmowers. I went to school for automotive after high school, and then the place I worked at really exploded, and I stayed there. So, yeah.
All right. Well, today we're going to dive right into it. So we're going to be talking about college specifically. We're also going to kind of dive into like trade schools and things like that. I have a whole bunch of stats. Like right here, it says college on average, right? $30,000 to $40,000 per year. $120,000 to $150,000 for a bachelor's degree. There are 43 million Americans that hold $1.6 trillion in student loan debt. And interesting enough, women make up 2/3 of the debt, around $939 billion. They on average have $2,700 more debt than men on average. And after 12 years, women repay only 28% of their loan versus 44% for men. Another thing too is like 41% of recent grads are underemployed, or they're in jobs that don't even require a bachelor's degree at all. Only 35% land field-related roles. So there's some really good things about it too, where $60,000 is a starting. But overall, nearly 40% of Americans over 25 and older have a bachelor's. Nearly 60% of all college students currently are female. 43 million Americans have taken on this kind of debt. I kind of want you guys' opinions on just those numbers.
I think that they accurately reflect what's going on. I think that the numbers for student loans is absolutely outrageous. I mean, I'm in the whole like 80 grand. So I definitely feel it. But also like the thing that you said about the stats being for like not finding fields, like related to your work, like when you get out, like not necessarily going into whatever you studied is very accurate. I got out and I was kind of like, I'm screwed. There's nothing I can really do. I'm gonna make nothing, or like what I would make if I just had a high school degree, diploma or whatever. So yeah, I think that it's definitely reflective of what's going on. I think it's accurate.
Yeah. I mean, you went to Anna Maria. I'm currently going to Anna Maria. I mean, I think what my tuition a semester is somewhere around 27,000. So I mean, I think when I'm done with my degree, I'm looking at like $200,000 worth of student loan debt. We're paying all of this money on, gambling on our own futures. And like you said, like it's not even guaranteed necessarily that you're going to get a job. It's kind of like with the mortgage thing, right? Where everybody was getting loans to take out a house, but like nobody was able to like pay them back. So we had like a whole mortgage crisis. Do you think like a similar thing is happening like when it comes to college? Like, here's $50,000. I mean, good luck.
Yeah, I mean, you have people going to like, schools in New York or California for an art degree, and they leave owing, $500,000 for, I don't know what job you get with that makes money. You know what I mean? Like, you work in an art museum, maybe make 40 grand a year, and what you have 8 years of your salary at least going to paying off that debt. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, Lopes. I mean, you went to school. I mean, you're still in school. Do you think that they do like a good enough job of like equipping like prospective students to understand like how much money it's really going to cost?
Yeah, I don't think that we're informed enough to make the decisions that are going to impact us like for the next 20, 30 years of paying back these student loans. I really have zero idea what I signed up for. I look at it now and I'm like, I don't understand any of this, a lick of it. But I was fortunate enough to have most of my Anna Maria paid for by my family, so that was good. But now that I'm doing it on my own, I absolutely have no idea. Totally winging it.
And it's weird. She'll like randomly get checks. Like she got a check for like $12,000 last month, and we're like, sweet.
I'll
And
get
then
like refunds, and like they don't really tell you like to go pay your loan servicer back. They just give you the refund. Like it's based on a scholarship or like something. So I had like $11,000 I got back, and I was like, well, what do I do with this? And I just paid back the loan servicer or whatever. But like other kids are probably just going to keep that money. A lot of them do.
at 7% interest, you know what I mean? Like they're gonna have they you hand a 22-year-old kid a check for $11,000. 95% of the time, they're just gonna take that money and run. They're not realizing that in the next 20 years, that's costing them. You know, I couldn't do the math on that on the top of my head, but costing them another $1,000 to spend that money. They don't tell you that. They make it so difficult to give them the money back.
They make it difficult to understand in general. I think that like when they do all these other random classes that they should have these kids get informed of what they're signing up for, what the outlook looks like, what the like jobs they're gonna have available to them, and like if that's even worth to get the good degree. Like some college kids are just going there to have fun and enjoy the 4 years, and others are like trying to figure out their life. So it really depended on values, but I definitely think like those beginning classes, like intro to whatever, like it would be nice to just get a little survey what's going on with my finances and stuff.
I understand like professors need to make money, and what is it that like you're really getting for the money? But as far as like people that go to college to then figure out what it is that they want to do later in life, is it worth it financially to do that?
I don't really think it's worth it unless you have like a game plan. I mean, that was a lot of what I heard from teachers, especially at Anna Maria. They were like, you got to know what you're going to do, honey. Like, if you don't, you're going to waste all of this money towards a degree that's worthless and doesn't mean anything. Like,
I guess my question for you is like, why didn't you decide to go that route? Like, why not go to, Worcester State or Anna Maria, or why not hop on, the Lopes train, if you will, and, go get a degree?
So I have a very rare situation. You know what I mean? I got in at the right place at the right time, and it turned into something pretty successful for my age that I could definitely stay at for another 30 years. You know what I mean? If not, then I probably would have looked into going to school longer, but it kind of fell into my lap, and it'd be silly for me to ever leave. Like when I finished school, I had all my ASEs, which is like your certifications. Think of it like it's like boards tests, you know what I mean? And I got all of those, got a good job offer at the time when I was 21, and where I was, they just offered me more, and I've been there ever since, going on 7 years. So it's a very, very different approach. But when I look at Penelope's case, when she had done the first 4 years, all the jobs that she was like looking at and taking were, 60 grand, 50, 60 grand. And yeah, her parents helped a lot with school, like paid for most of Anna Maria, but still in the end of the day, like we want better for ourselves. $60,000 is not that.
it was like I could make more at a restaurant.
Yeah, like she'd make more being a bartender than she would for something she just went to school for. So it's all in what your line of work on if school makes sense or not. Like you have to go to school for nursing, you know what I mean? She has to go to school to learn more about the brain, you know what I mean? I don't have to go to the school to learn how to sell something. I don't really need to go spend $100,000 to tell you about your chainsaw. So it's a little different.
So that was kind of like our debt conversation as far as just like the sobering numbers. But the next segment that I kind of wanted to touch upon was kind of like that idea of, kids going there to party or to have fun or, waste their parents' money or whatever it is. So I labeled this segment depression and degeneracy, right? So like when you look at the mental health numbers alone, you're looking at only 36% of students report thriving mentally. So like 64% of college students mentally not thriving.
Yeah.
So women report 43% depression rates versus men's 33. 60% have anxiety. 52% feel high loneliness, which is still 10 points higher than men. And then women that are in STEM actually face even higher rates of depression and anxiety. I guess Lopes, I'll kick it over to you, especially since the mental health is kind of your area.
I feel like I would say that while college is like a very inviting and open time, it's also very isolating, and it's a time of comparison. It's a time of figuring out who you are without your family and being away from them, whether or not you're a commuter or not. Like either way, you're trying to figure all that out, navigate it. Anxiety is, I think that was the highest number that you had. It's just an anxious time. I mean, you don't know necessarily what's going on, what's going to happen. You might be stressed about like sociable things. It might be academic things. The pressure is insurmountable. And just, I think that there's a lot there.
I mean, I see the papers she gets, and yeah, I can't even imagine trying to juggle all of that at once.
You're right now in an extremely competitive area. Do you think that like college students in particular are kind of getting like a really heavy dose of that as well? Like where like Penelope had mentioned earlier, just like kind of like the stress and anxiety that goes with it. Do you think like there's a lot of like competition and like that stress that you feel in the real world, but it's just kind of being translated into like the academic arena?
I don't know how well that goes into academics, because it's two very different. One, you're paying for college. I mean, I'm not paying to go to work, but if I don't go to work, I'm not going to have food on my table. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit different, because I think you're more on the edge on if you don't succeed at work. If you don't succeed at school, yeah, you're gonna lose the money that you paid for it, but you're not gonna lose your house.
It's like a micro system of like the overarching.
Like, do you think like these numbers are reflective of a positive thing or like a negative? Like,
I would say that it's more of a negative thing. I mean, we all have good stress, we have bad stress, we have good sadness, bad sadness. Like we're human. We're gonna be up and down at different times, but that seems like more of a significant level of like depression and anxiety. I mean, everyone at some point in their life is likely gonna face it, but for college students to be disproportionately affected by those mental health conditions it's upsetting, it's sad, it's negative, I'd say.
so the other thing, right, is like the whole like drinking. 50% have drank in the last month. 30% binge drink. 14% meet the alcohol use disorder criteria. 2 in 5 have a substance use disorder. 22% have used illegal illicit drugs in the last month. Now, keep going. About 89% report self-pleasuring. 79% engage in mouth pleasuring with other people. These are not you know what I mean? And I'm trying to keep this as PG as possible. 78% have had at least one sexual encounter, and the average number of sexual partners in college is 5. 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
69% enter as virgins. Only 20 graduate as such. And those are mostly, believe it or not, those are men. So that means that there's a lot of men who are, getting that 5 and plus, and there's a bunch that are getting the 0. I don't know, which is also a funny, gross stat. 1 in 4 college students, right, have an STI, chlamydia being the most common. Nearly 60% have never been tested. 15% never use condoms. Now, here's a funny thing about that stat, right? The 15% not using a condom is that 14% admit about lying about having an STI. So you have 15% of people that aren't using protection, and then you have like almost 15% lying about having an STD. So I think that's kind of.
I think that's part of where the sadness and depression come from in college. Is you're binge drinking, you're can't keep your legs closed. It's hard to focus on school, so you fall back on school. Then it's kind of, they go hand in hand in a way. The way society spins these 18, 19-year-olds that just got let loose from their parents for the first time. Some of them, you see the people that have, they didn't drink until they got there to college. So the second they get their hands on alcohol, they just turn into these monsters. And then they wake up, that self-pity that, I'm sure everyone's experienced, you just feel gross. That eating you up, and then you go to class the next morning and get handed a 5-page essay.
Oh, if you're paying $40,000 a year, that seems like a really crazy party to go to. You know what I mean? Like you're in these tiny little dorms and you're paying 40 grand to like basically make sure you don't do well in the morning. You know what I mean? I don't know. That just seems a little silly to me. Or back in the day, they went to Amherst, had no intentions of graduating at all. They knew exactly what they were doing. They got as much partying done as they possibly could. But I mean, he just paid off that, basically the longest bar tab that anybody has ever seen.
I still have friends that are like just getting out of that phase, and you're right. They drop out their second, third year, and now all of a sudden they're working for their dad's construction company, making $17 an hour, but they owe 80 grand for UMass Lowell. I get it. Yeah, like that's a very common problem.
But it's dependent on so many different things, their socioeconomic status, their family context, all these things. Like, everyone's going to have their different experience. And you can party outside of college, too. So, like, I don't know. Is it dependent on college, or is it just a coincidence that these things happen together?
But it's also, you're at that age, right? You're freshly 18, I'd say 85% of the guys there, their egos couldn't even fit in a room. You know what I mean? That is your heyday per se. You know what I mean? So school definitely comes second to probably a good 80% of people that go to college in the United States. I mean,
I think that number's got to be lower. I don't know.
I think because we got one in the 20% right here, which is, thank God. But still, like, I think most people, their goal is just, get by with C's, D's, as long as they're passing, their parents are happy, so that way they can just live it up.
Values, like, what do they value the most? Like getting perfect grades or experiencing life a little bit? Not necessarily that partying equals experiencing life, but like that is, to that age group, is what it looks like.
It's like, obviously for this class that I'm taking, this podcasting class, one of the podcasts that was played in class, I mean, the amount of just sheer fighting temptation, talking about like the decisions that you make are going to truly affect you at the end of the day, like you are responsible for you, like that brings me a lot of, I don't know, hope, I guess. You know what I mean? So I don't think that like it's the majority of people, or I don't anyways at Anna Maria, although I have other friends that went there and they'll tell me the complete opposite. So I just have a totally different experience as a, 32-year-old. So, but it is really refreshing because I see so many people that are so focused. So I don't think that, well, in our case, Lopes, like, Anna Maria, I don't necessarily think it would fall under like that Amherst Zoo category, maybe. I don't know, though. It's a little bit of ignorance coming from me, too. Where I don't think like drinking and partying is what most younger people want to do. Like when I was like 21, like that was kind of, I had Madison. But at the end of the day, like that's what everybody I knew, that's all they did. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't see people for like years, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, I got married. And it's like, oh, wow, good. I was worried about you there for a minute. And I guess like that's going to detour me kind of, I think, into the last section that we have, which is going to be detours and decisions. So trade programs, right? They cost anywhere from like $3,800 to $16,000 total versus $100,000 for a 4-year degree, right? With 2 to 18 months to complete it, right? And an immediate workforce access, like you have no loans and you're just straight into the workforce. A high return on investment. 125 trade schools, right? Rank in the top 10% for 10-year return on investment, right? Like
Mhm.
they're paying the most, like more than a lot of bachelor's programs. Starting salaries are 60 plus when it comes to fields like plumbing, welding, electrical. And you don't have like all that crazy debt on top of it. How do we bring those things back, and how do we incentivize trade schools?
I don't think college makes sense for a lot of people. I mean, most of my friends make more than your, average doctor, and they're doing electrical, plumbing, landscaping. I guess I have some very successful friends, but still, like they're all thriving in those trades, and none of them owe a dollar to any college. You know what I mean? They're all doing way better than most people after they go to school for 8 years and they're only 23, 24. You know what I mean? So I'm very big on more people need to look into the trades than they give. And just like, not even just the trades, just odd not jobs, like, weird jobs where you can make a very good living in and grow in it. That's really, I'm very, very, very big on that. I don't think everyone should leave high school and instantly go sign their life away for $100,000. I don't think that's smart. I'm very big on, enjoy your life at 18 for maybe a year or so. If your parents, you're in that good position, work as a bartender or a bar back or something for a year.
There's like a really strong push for women in particular to go to college and get a bachelor's or greater degree. Now this is going to sound super traditional and outdated, but when it comes to like homemaking and stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home wife, I mean, first of all, we all know the birth rate is abysmal. Like it is just plummeting. It's bad. It's bad. So
Mhm.
I am a huge proponent of like people need to have kids. Like everybody should have kids. Get on it. Make babies. It's good for everybody. But when I was looking up some of the numbers from like it's a Mother's Day index. I don't know what that is, but it's talking about how there was 145 to $185,000 unpaid labor equivalent, which is insane to me. So like when you have a good stay-at-home wife, we're not talking like yoga pants and sits on the couch and does nothing all day and just I look cute and got my nails done, spend your money type of. Well, that's not what we're talking about here. But we're talking about a woman. You know what I mean? A woman that like this is her job and she's good at it. So $145 to $185,000 a year. $145,000 for just childcare, meals, and like housework. You save $25,000 a year on daycare alone, $20,000 on like home cooking, as opposed to like going out all the time or door dashing, whatever. 80% of stay-at-home moms report higher family bonding and reduced child stress. 70% of stay-at-home moms cite mental health improvements. Now, it seems like a lot of people like they don't want to do like the stay-at-home mom because it hinders their success or whatever it is. I don't know, but it seems like women are choosing more and more to get into the workforce, make money, et cetera, and then they're not making money until they're like 30, 32, right? Let's just say for I don't know what the real number is, but and then at like 33, 34, it's like, oh, now I have enough money to make kids. And it's like, oh, and 80% of my eggs are gone. It's like you need to get the degree. You need to make a whole bunch of money. And then you're going to have kids and then go back to work. Why is there such a push for women to get degrees?
I think that women are just like kind of telling themselves like, oh no, we can't like stick to the stereotype of like falling into the homemaker, the caretaker and this and that. So they try and push themselves to like, oh, I'm gonna get this done and then I'll be ready for kids. Unfortunately, it's not gonna happen like that for everyone. And unfortunately, I am one of those people that wants to do my life and then add children. So I'm probably not the best person to ask about that, but I do think it's a push to like kind of fight back men and be like, no, you know what? I can do it too. I don't need to birth a child right now. But it does that those numbers are very interesting. It's it's nice to hear that that time is like rewarding and refreshing for the women and their mental health gets better and improves and the family relationships and dynamics improve as well. So I like those numbers. They're hopeful.
So you would say that like it's really more of like I don't know how to put it because it's not combative, but it almost seems like adversarial. right? Like it seems like men and women have gone from like, hey, we're partners, like you and me, like we're going to, make a family unit, and now it's just like, no, I'm better than you. Like, no, I'm better than you. I'm gonna make more money than you. Like, so, but it seems like that's kind of like the stance, right? Is that like, like men are something that women have freed themselves from, like
Yeah.
bondage. Like I don't know. Is that accurate? Does that make sense?
I feel like that makes sense to you, Zachary.
I mean, it's how a lot of them really, it's how a lot of girls will really make a team, But I'd say it's all on your own personal family. And
For like a hot takeaway, right? What would be something that let's use Madison as an example, right? Like she really wants to go to school. She wants to one day start like a wildlife sanctuary type of thing, and she wants to go to college. What are things that Madison should consider?
She should ask a lot of questions and inform herself about the system, about the outlook, just kind of retain that knowledge before signing herself up. And I would say just like follow her heart and what she wants to do. Your career is 90% of your life, 2/3 of your life you're spending at work. So better be something that you enjoy.
if you can't be happy at your job, you're going to be miserable. It doesn't matter. Might be the first year you work there, or 10 years later. If you're not happy, you got to jump ship, because if you're not happy at work, then you're not going to be happy at home, and then you're not happy at all, and it's a slippery slope there. So I mean, you got to make sure that no matter what you do, you have a passion for it, you have the fire for it.
You and I are two people that we're definitely at home in our jobs. Like, you know what I mean? I love every aspect of patient care and medicine. I love it. It fires me up, and there's just something about it that I've always just known. For you, I mean, you could sell ice to an Eskimo. It's insane. You know what I mean? And I've listened to you talk to so many people about Parker Power Equipment, and like you can go on for hours. You have to have that fire for it. My third one was count the cost. And basically it's just like, playing along the lines of like that informed, decision, right? And the only note I put for this was Luke 14:28-30. And it says, "For which of you, desiring to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it? Otherwise, when he has laid a foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it will begin to mock him, saying, 'This man began to build and was not able to finish.'" Straight from Jesus' mouth. And my last little parting gift to everybody is don't make a foolish decision. Don't make a rash decision. Don't do it just because your friends are doing it. Proverbs 12:15 says, "The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to advice." And I just want to say thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, you too.
Thanks, guys. All right, everyone. Today we explored all things college, and I hope you enjoyed the discussion. And if you didn't, well, I hope it wasn't a complete waste of your time. Either way, thanks for joining us at Table of Reason Podcast. If you would like to join me at the table, where you can feel free to debate on a topic or just have a cordial conversation about anything, send an email to tableofreasonpodcast@gmail.com. Next time on episode 3, we're going to explore the topic of relationships in this modern world. So don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and share with a friend or someone you don't like very much. And as always, I'm your host, Dylan Scott. Hit the lights on your way out, and see you next time.